welcome back. This is episode 3. Our little child has now 3 episodes
Right.
old.
Yes. The chat compactor keeps on crushing.
Compactor.
Yes.
That's dark if we're talking. Okay, yeah.
Well, nobody's in there, except that monster, but it apparently can live there fine.
Yeah. Side note: how does that thing not die?
Well, I think it's like a cockroach-style space creature where it can get crushed and it can go into all different it's just malleable as hell, or it's got a little
It's like Play-Doh
space.
with an eye.
Yeah. It might be able to under the thin little area. It might be able to get through there somehow.
It's like a bat. It can crawl itself through
But
tiny
it did.
spaces.
Yeah, you would think the eyeball would be, because it was a sizable eyeball.
Yeah.
It wasn't tiny or anything.
But I don't really think they sat down and goes, "Okay, let's come up with the biology of this creature."
Yeah, no, but so many things have surprising backstories in
Yeah.
Star Wars. Speaking of things
speaking
that
of,
have small role in the original movie, really, overall.
but have taken off like crazy.
Yes, it's the bounty hunters of Star Wars.
So yeah, this week we're talking about the bounty hunters, the underground of Star Wars. Like Boss, Boba Fett.
IG-88.
Yeah, IG-88, Forlom. I'm probably messing up his name.
No, I think that's right.
Dagar? I think it's Dagar.
Dengar.
Dengar, yeah.
And
I kept saying it was
Zuckuss.
Dengar.
Zuckuss is there too, right? That weird bug thing.
I love his name because it looks like something completely else.
Yes. It does. Yeah.
So I'm my favorite character in the Star Wars universe is Boba Fett. I love Boba Fett.
Boba Fett's right up there for me. Obviously, it's one of the overall favorites for sure.
So my feelings towards the bounty hunter, the underground, like the bad boys of Star Wars universe, is known. But what's your feelings about these low lives?
I feel like they're amazing characters in the original movies, and they're used really subtly and in a small way, and I think that's awesome because it does lend so much to the imagination, right? People have come up with so many of their own thoughts and ideas, and I think with Disney coming, a lot of people are pushing for a Boba Fett movie, but
Yes.
I just think a bounty hunter, bounty hunters could almost be a series.
Yeah.
They could make a bunch of different movies because there's so much just potential in the stories. There's literally infinite potential. You get a wicked character for a bounty hunter, and they're going to different planets and different aliens for different reasons. There's criminals, there's a government involved. It's
Well, I watched. Excuse me. I watched the Clone Wars as a kid.
Yep.
Obviously,
Right,
you were
okay.
not. You and me are not the same age, so you probably didn't watch them.
Yeah. Well, I've watched some of them.
They're on Netflix now, and
Okay.
I've started watching a couple of them because they're not actually that bad. They're better than the prequels,
Mm-hmm.
and it does help. It does actually help, kind of make a better transition from 2 to 3. It does do that, and it also has a lot of episodes, especially the later episodes, focus a lot on bounty hunters. And Boba Fett's in it, like him as a kid. It's actually kind of cool. Bosca's in it. It's,
That's awesome.
Sing, do you know who Sing is?
No.
You see her for a brief second in episode 1. She's has a weird ponytail and is white skinned.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to show you what she looks like sometime.
Okay. Cool.
But she's supposed to be a really good marksman and stuff like that. So yeah, that they really build off in that one. The one thing I always thought of, especially when they're talking about they might make a Boba Fett movie, is it would be better for them to make. Because I don't want to hear about the backstory about Boba Fett. I've already heard enough of the backstory. I'm done with the backstory. They ruined Boba Fett last time they tried to do the backstory. I think
you want it starting with him climbing out of the Sarlacc kind of thing,
that
going
would be
forward.
My problem with that is he was awesome because they used him sparingly.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
if he's the center of attention, they're going to try to make him look like anti-hero, so still a good guy, and they're going to mess up the whole character.
You can't overplay that hand for sure. You don't want to. Yeah.
I think a cool thing to do is, have you seen Hateful Eight?
Oh, yeah.
Quentin Tarantino movie.
Absolutely. Yes.
I think something like that, but with the look of Blade Runner, but with Star Wars people, Star Wars characters, and have that as a bounty hunter movie would be cool. Because you're not making anyone look like a good guy. You can put Boba Fett in it. I guess you'd know Boba Fett would live. Or you could even do it after the Sarlacc. Have a scenario like that so no one's the good guy. And then people will be like, oh, what's gonna happen to Boba Fett? Is he gonna die? I think that would be a really cool way to do it. Any other way, they're gonna make it like, you know, he's saving like Logan. They can make it like Logan, which would wreck it. But like, he's saving people and stuff.
The only thing I think about that Hateful Eight proposal is like the Hateful Eight, like a cool part of that movie is that it all takes place in the cabin. Like,
yeah,
it's just within that cabin, right? And they all are hanging out there for almost the entire movie. But in Star Wars, it's all about like different planets and different locations and space or whatever, right? So there's got to be, that could be like definitely a cool scene.
Yeah.
And the way Tarantino creates tension between people, that's like all like when you're watching it as an audience member, you're like ready to burst. So I think definitely there could be an awesome scene. Like the one that comes to mind for some reason with Tarantino is in Inglourious Bastards, the scene with the 3 versus the 3, like that.
3 and 3.
And yeah, that just gets, that scene gets so crazy, and then it explodes with the guns in the bar. Like something like that would be pretty cool, I think, if they did that with Boba Fett in one scene, just create like huge tension. But you gotta make the character so intimidating and effective without overplaying it still. Like it's gonna be hard for them to really do that right. And that's why it might be better to even have a bounty hunters movie and have like 3 or 4 stories woven together, again, the way Tarantino would in like Pulp Fiction or something like that, you know, and have them all maybe like coalesce at the end somehow. Like that would be cool, because then you don't have one guy dominate the screen too much. They're still on there sparingly, but they develop their story. You see them significantly, and it it adds to the overall Star Wars universe and the bounty hunters.
I have another proposal for a bounty hunter movie for you.
I guess I should start writing.
Yeah, you go write that.
Yeah.
I have another proposal for a bounty hunter movie.
Okay. Yeah, let's hear it.
So, Usual Suspects.
Amazing movie. Yeah.
That with bounty hunters. Call it Usual Bounty Hunters.
That would be amazing. Seeing them all like locked down somewhere. I'd rather almost see them locked down by like gangsters, like in like
the huts.
Jabba jail.
Jabba jail.
The Rancor is like right there. He's the security guard just walking the hall back and forth or whatever.
The Rancor. They're like, should we just get guards? No, hell no. They're bounty hunters. So just get the Rancor.
Yeah.
He'll just walk.
I guess they like the Gamorreans too. Maybe they'd have Gamorrean guards in the Jabba jail there.
The pig guys, as I always used to call them.
I
as
love
a kid.
the pig guys. Pig guys is I think it's like Tusken Raiders and Sand People is like Gamorrean guards and pig guys or whatever.
Guys.
Yeah, I think that's.
When I was a kid, I got an action figure of a Gamorrean guard.
Yes, I had one of those.
Like, and the one that I got
they
was
had an axe too. They didn't have a gun. They had an axe.
Big old axe.
Yes.
The action figure I got was a weird collector's one. But it was strange. I went to Toys R Us to get it. So it was a toy, like, for kids.
Right.
But when I got it and I took care of the packaging, I looked at it and I remember going, there is a lot of detail on this for a children's toy. Like, there was, like, they actually painted, like, slobber that looked like slobber. And I'm like, why? I'm going to break this.
You have to have little, like, lines in the, like, outfits to make them look like, you know, just give them texture or whatever and stuff like that.
It was just ridiculous amount of it, and I looked at it like, and then I lost the helmet like right away. So I proved myself right.
Yes, yeah, there always is. Oh man, yeah, little pieces just disappear somehow.
That's the problem with having little pieces on action figures.
Yes.
I still know where that is. It's at my grandmother's. Maybe I should get it and bring it into the set.
That'd be cool.
Like a show and tell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, that's a good idea.
We could have a show and tell.
Yes.
So what's your favorite bounty hunter? How many bounty hunters do you know?
I mean, honestly, like my following of Star Wars, like I said, has mainly come from the movies and the toys, like almost exclusively. And so with the role the bounty hunters played in there, it's pretty much got to be Boba Fett, just because, you know, he's the guy with the main role. I remember thinking it was lame that he fell into the Sarlacc pit. Like a lot of people, another thing, a lot of people like rip on that whole scene with like how it's like kooky and a little slapstick almost what happens. But to me, you can almost rationalize it the other way too, of how it sort of makes sense, because he's such an amazing like fighter and intimidating presence that it almost takes like this fluke accident for something to happen
yeah.
to him. You know what I mean? It was just like, it was like a fluky thing. Han's obviously blind. He just like turns around with the thing and happens to hit him, sets off the jetpack, and then boom.
Which I don't know how grounded in science that is. I don't know if you hit a jetpack, it would just like go off.
Well,
It's a very bad safety.
Star Wars requires a lot of suspension of disbelief in a lot of different places.
Wait,
so,
you're saying that wizards with laser swords isn't real?
Well, I haven't seen direct evidence of it yet. I've tried to use the Force many times. It's yet to work, really. But
when you were a kid, did you always try to use the Force? Was that like?
Oh yes, for sure.
I used to think that if I tried real hard, I could do it.
Well, and then I think I vaguely remember, like, you know, you see the magician like bend a spoon for the first time or whatever too, and you're sort of like, as a kid who's just fresh and like liking Star Wars and everything, you're just like, oh man, that's. So then you sit in front of like a spoon and a fork for. That's how we used to.
Like the Matrix thing
before the internet. That's how we used to have fun.
spoon.
Yeah, we'd just sit in front of a fork, like looking at it hard for like 20 minutes till you gave yourself a headache.
Yeah, after we played stickball, we'd go inside and look at silverware.
Look at forks. Yep.
Yeah, I just now.
Mom really encouraged that game.
I now really like the idea that you had. Like, you go to see a magician, and the whole time you're sitting there, you're like, is he going to pull out a lightsaber? Just like, here's a bunny.
That would have been a good magician.
That would have been an intense magician.
Yes.
Just like defends the galaxy right in front of you.
Yeah, well, it depends what he did. If he just did lightsaber tricks or something like that, that'd be.
Juggles them.
That would be amazing. Don't want to lose a limb or anything. That's been known to happen.
We got laser swords. What should we do with them? Let's juggle.
So what would you, just continuing what we were saying a little bit ago about bounty hunters, like what would you like to see done with those characters, or with like, now that Disney has the rights, just like incorporated as side characters as they were in the original trilogy into new ones, or have a focus? And if there's a focus, what would you like to see?
Well, they made a Rogue, since they made Rogue One. I'd like to see a spin-off movie about like Bosk or IG-88 or something like that, or like just something to grow off them. I don't know what you could do. Like, if you made it about them tracking down Han Solo, that'd be a very sad movie of them.
Yeah, no.
Tracking him down, and also go, oh, he's already found. Never mind. Or like even do. No, I guess you see how Boba Fett found him. I don't know. I think they could do something cool with the 6 bounty hunters that you see there. Like,
Absolutely.
I don't know, have when I was reading the thing to research our character of the day, I found out some cool little things that they could make into a movie. One of them they put into the cartoon, which apparently there's a couple bounty hunters in that new TV show Rebels. Apparently you see a bunch of familiar faces, like you see Bosk. I heard rumors that you're going to see Boba Fett, and I'm like, you know what? Just because of Boba Fett, I might now try to find that show. I heard good things.
Cool.
I heard good things.
Okay. Yeah, we'll check that out.
The bounty hunters in the movie are difficult because they are used very sparsely.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure how knowledgeable you are at the video games of Star Wars. We talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Spotty.
They were going to make a Star Wars game called Star Wars. I think it was going to be called 2323. I don't know.
They did make a bounty hunter game, didn't they?
That was going to be the bounty hunter game, I think.
Okay.
I think you're going to play as smugglers and you're going to have to deal with bounty hunters. From my knowledge, that's what it was. And it was like very far into development, and then they cut it. And I thought that would have been a really cool game, but if they're not going to use it as a game, they could make that into a movie.
Yes.
I'm sure they have some story elements in there that they could turn into a movie. Hopefully it'll be better than the Assassin's Creed movie.
Hopefully.
That was a very bad movie.
Yes. Video game conversions don't always...
they don't pan out very well.
Don't always work well.
So is there anything else you'd like to mention about any bounty hunters you want to bring up?
I just think there's a lot of potential for stories there with them being involved. Like, you could do, what other crime families are there other than the Hutts?
Yeah.
Like, what's the relationship between those crime families? How do...
That would be cool.
Like, if there's, like, conflict between... Yeah, like, a few different, like, crime families, and have them working for that, or have, like, some of these crime families that are trying to link up and gain power, the Empire start being threatened by them or feel, and so they've got, the bounty hunters could be working for either side, or they bounty hunters could be separate ones could be working for either side, or the same one could be playing both sides and working for both kind of thing too, right? Yeah, like I said, I got to get writing. I've got a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
But
They need to put something in between
gotta develop them.
5 and 6. There's quite the gap in there. And what were Han and, not Han, Han was frozen. What was Luke and Leia doing? They were spending a couple years, even though they knew where he was.
Luke was training as a Jedi, like you got to think, because he comes out hard, and at the beginning of Return, he just walks into Jabba's lair, it's just like, whatever, dude, and Hutt's laughing at him, right? Yeah, and he just takes them all on and wins. And so he's sort of like, to me, he'd have to have been training like the whole time, especially after the encounter with Vader, right? It just like that idea. All it would be is Luke's obsession with getting better and getting back at Vader.
Because we know he didn't go see Yoda.
No.
He would have. Maybe he since he is a teenager, he's like, I don't need your training. I can do it myself.
That's a good question. Like, who was the person to train him? Did anyone else, or did he just do it on his own? Or?
And also, why didn't Ben Olsen come in Ghost form like, hey, go talk to Yoda. Yoda. I like the idea though that he's training by himself and Ben just shows up randomly like, there's a little green thing that will teach you. He's like, shut up, Ben. I got this.
I like the idea of one of those other Jedi Council dudes coming along, or somebody heard about him, something like that. Because it'd be hard to stay focused. You'd think you need to, I don't know.
I don't.
Discipline,
I don't know what the qualification for Jedi school is. I
Well,
wish I did.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be
Jedi.
like compared to our military or something like that. Not a military like a Zen, like a Buddha.
Religion.
Yeah, like those Shaolin monks, something like that. Whatever their training regimen is, would be our most similar thing to a Jedi, probably.
Then do you think, how in real world
That combined with being a ninja.
religion is tax exempt? Do you think that's why everyone's pissed off at Jedis, because they don't have to pay taxes?
No, Jedi, everyone loves Jedis because they just keep peace. Everyone except the Empire the Emperor, when he decided to take over, that was, everybody else loved Jedis. They were all like, oh my God, you're a Jedi Knight. You know what I mean?
Did you hear the theory?
If kids like you, then you're good. That's what I think. Firemen, kids love firemen. So
And police
obviously,
officers like that, you're good.
yeah, obviously they're good.
The one thing though, I don't know if you've heard this theory. Sometimes teachers, yeah. You're a good teacher.
Well, thank you.
Good job.
Yeah, we won't dwell on that.
Have you heard the theory that is the Empire wasn't that bad, except for every bad decision the Empire made was mostly made by Sith, and what are Sith other than just rebellious Jedi? So there's a theory that just, the galaxy is fine, but everything is just the Jedi messing things up.
Well, I think they call the Sith the Jedi is that's too much of a stretch in my head. They're like the opposites. They tap into a similar power in the Force, but I mean.
But most Sith started off as Jedi.
Yeah, and then they just can't handle it. It's like most, we were just talking about, most kids are good, and then there's a certain point when they're just,
go off.
Yeah, they're doing and who knows what makes that happen. But, I don't know. I think that's too much of a stretch.
It's
the
just
Jedi are Force for good.
Force users, if you think about the Republic fell because of Palpatine.
Yep.
Who was a Sith.
Yep.
And then obviously the whole Empire thing.
It's weird that he came to it late in life.
Yeah.
Why wasn't he a young Jedi dude or whatever?
He was younger and
maybe covered it up.
Yeah. But either way, every big thing had to do with Sith and Jedi. So you kind of got to wonder if there was just no Force users, if it would just be a better place.
Yeah, but the Empire, I guess the Emperor was the ultimate decision maker. But I was going to say, there's got to be a lot of guys, something like the Death Star that takes a lot of people to coordinate.
Well, you don't really argue
There's
with a
a
guy
lot
that
of
can
planning
shoot
there.
lightning out of his hands.
No, not if you want to win an argument.
It's like, hey, this might cost a lot. What? Never mind.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they blew up a planet, but think of all the planets they must have destroyed, like mining all this stuff and taking
Yeah.
all the resources they needed to make that thing.
It's like we shot one planet, we destroyed 5.
Yeah, there's like 8 other planets that are like, what about us? You wrecked us too.
Like, it was entertaining your destruction, so shut up.
Yeah, just because you didn't turn us into little asteroids doesn't mean you
Yeah.
didn't ruin us, you know?
Have you seen the Family Guy Star Wars when Princess Leia's biking and she's like, I think I finally got over Alderaan, and like a chunk, like a meteor from Alderaan hits her in the head.
I don't remember that part, but yeah.
I remember watching that. I was like, that's kind of funny. I giggled.
There's on the online. There's a lot of mean things about Alderaan.
So do you want to do our character of the day?
Yeah. Let's do a bounty hunter, of course.
So our character of the day is Bosk.
And how did
lizard guy.
we pick Bosk again?
He's a bounty hunter and he's from Empire.
Well, but wasn't he? I thought you said he was your favorite bounty hunter.
He is my second favorite bounty hunter.
Okay, right, of course. We all love Boba Fett.
When I used to play Minecraft and stuff like that, Bosk was actually my skin.
Nice.
Like, you gotta make your own skin and stuff like that. I just think Bosk also looks really friggin' cool.
Yes, he does.
He's like a big lizard guy.
I read online, people said he's like a combination of a pit bull and a Komodo dragon or something like that.
He does look awfully lot like a Komodo dragon with a squish nose, kind of.
Yeah, there is something like doggish about his head a little bit. Like, yeah, very, very intimidating looking for sure. Again, one of those, like I was talking about last week with like the masks and the real costumes instead of the CGI, one of those like super classic when his toes are hanging over the edge of that ledge thing, and he's got like toenails that are that long, all curved and pointed.
Yeah, it's weird. Like when you look back at the costume, he couldn't move his arms.
No.
His arms are straight.
Yeah, it didn't look like a comfortable costume to wear.
No.
Actually, yeah, I was checking out some clips of that today, and the one scene, it looks like his legs are just like propped there. It doesn't look like, I doubt if they pan out that there's a full dude standing there. It looks like there's just like these like leg things
The guy's
hanging over the edge.
like, Jerry, we need you back on set. No, put the legs there. We're good.
Yeah, just sit at the legs.
So obviously Bosk is a bounty hunter. He is a Trandoshan. I think it's Trandoshan. Yeah, you're an English teacher.
Tardoshan.
Tardoshan. You're an English teacher, so I can blame you.
Yeah, I just fake my pronunciation and pretend like I know. Tardoshan, you know.
Tardoshan.
Yeah.
One thing I found out interesting is
he must speak Tardoshan too. We've established that pattern.
I actually couldn't figure out what the language was.
He just sort of grunts, it seems like, but I guess he probably has a language. Like
the Tardoshan, like in my notes, like in the interesting facts, there's an episode where his father is a bounty hunter known for hunting Wookiees. There's actually an episode about him hunting Wookiees, and it's actually like really cool. I remember seeing that episode, and they do speak in it. I'm pretty sure.
See, and now too, like just that, for example, like showing that dude fight a Wookiee, like have a real hand-to-hand, like to the death combat with a Wookiee, that would be an insane scene to make. Like that would be crazy.
I just want someone to make that. I don't care how, and just I want to watch that. That seems like the most entertaining thing of just a hand-to-hand combat, because I know.
I want it much more Crouching Tiger than like Avengers, like you know what I mean? Like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, that fight scene with the 2 women. Oh my god, like some scene that was like hardcore like that, like just intense and. Well, just instead of just overplayed, like everything's buildings falling down and whole streets getting destroyed, and the guy gets up. All right, now I'll really start fighting. Like
lots of people just lost their job, but I'm good.
Yeah.
So let's keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
So one thing I found interesting is, do you know what pop figures are? I think they're called pop vinyls. Is their correct name?
Are they the like big-headed things or
big-headed
whatever?
things.
They're the
They're
small.
collectibles.
Yep.
I actually collect them.
Cool.
And I found out this a while ago that his figure is very, very sought after.
Oh.
It was like $100-something for it.
Wow.
They're usually like 10. And I was like, well.
Wow.
Forlome also is a very expensive one because it was an exclusive in 2015.
Right.
He raised Boba Fett basically.
Forlome did?
No, Boss.
Oh, sorry, Boss did. Yes, I read that online. Yeah. After after Django
Died.
got taken out, then Bosk, and wasn't there like a female bounty hunter that helped as well,
Same.
so are they married or something like
No.
that, or?
I don't think so. I don't like that they have Bosk raise Boba Fett because
No, you don't see him as a
they
fatherly figure.
well, just because they took that one scene where they're together and they totally just ran with it. They're just like, well, you know, he raised him. It's like, no, they just were two bounty hunters that the Emperor put together. I'm like, he doesn't look ridiculously old. It's like, so they look roughly the same age. I like the idea of it's like they're just two very skilled bounty hunters. I don't like the idea that the one raises the other. To me, that just is a not needed connection.
Well, it's the way, like, it just speaks to everyone's obsession with Star Wars, because it's like the bounty hunters are shown for such a short time that people just, you know, they could basically do whatever they wanted with them, right? Because it was like free-for-all as far as their backstory or anything about them. So, yeah, that could be a bit of a stretch, but it's sort of an interesting connection, I guess. Like, I don't know, as far as their age, like, Boba Fett's in a mask, and
Yeah.
like, who knows, like, maybe those things live to be like 150 years old or something like that, or whatever, you know.
I like the idea that Boba Fett's just like you know, in movies when like the kids like will like get like the trench coat so they look like an older person. I like the idea that it's just Boba Fett and another kid that do that in the Boba Fett costume. They're like, see, we're tough, and that's why they don't speak. They're just like, don't move, don't move, don't move. They'll know. This one kid's got really long legs. That would be an interesting story.
That would be, yes.
Boba Fett's
yes.
actually just like a little toddler.
Boba Fett in diapers, I don't know. That's like, it's like little Annie. It's just like, I don't need to see it, you know. It's just not part of what needs to be on there.
Yeah, they add a lot into Star Wars that we don't really need to see. And I'm a little bit scared. George Lucas might jump on that just to get some money. He might be like, oh yeah, Boba Fett diapers. Let's do it.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Well, that's, the first three, there's nothing that you don't need to see. It's all, everything is required and, like, necessary. And then there's all this just junk in the, whatever. Don't want to start going off. See, and that's another thing. I've been lipping Attack of the Clones, but I did kind of find that part interesting when Obi-Wan goes to that planet where they're making the clones and figures out what's going on, and that race of people was kind of interesting, and that planet, and the encounter with Jango Fett was kind of cool too. So that was part of Attack of the Clones that I thought was alright, or interesting anyways.
So do you know what Mandalorians are? Not midichlorians, Mandalorians.
Right, yes. That's
They're,
like Boba Fett's like planet or whatever. Like,
it's his race.
Yeah.
And they all, like, the armor that Boba Fett and Jango Fett both wear are Mandalorian armor. So it's not just the Fett clan, it's them. It's the whole planet's kind of style.
mm-hmm.
My problem with this is I think Jango Fett looks cool. I really do. Like, the two pistols and stuff. And they could have said, yeah, Boba is his son. That I would have bought. I'd have been like, that's really cool. But the fact they made him a clone, just to me, that annoyed me. I do like the idea that the whole army is based off of basically Boba Fett, because that's pretty darn badass.
Yes, absolutely.
But just all of a sudden going, everything you love about Boba Fett, no, it's just basically just a reincarnation of an old guy. Don't worry about it. It's like, it kind of wrecks a little bit of me. Like a little bit of it for me, because he's no longer Boba Fett, he's just Jango Fett, but just kind of reborn, if he's an exact clone.
Yeah, and you could think, and he's just essentially like a stormtrooper, just another stormtrooper kind of, you could think about it. But you could also think maybe it's Star Wars' argument for nurture over nature, you know what I mean? Like taking that, like, that form that is himself, but then, and that's a weird thing too. Like, I guess Star Wars doesn't get philosophical like that, but like the idea of raising yourself, like literally, like some people's kids, like you see them and they look. I've got one friend that has like he's nearly 2, little son, and it looks like you can tell just looking at him that like it's his kid, like exactly right. But yeah, knowing that you're raising like you,
Yeah.
that would be weird.
Like him in his teenage years, like he couldn't get away with anything. He's like, well, how'd you know I do that? Because I did it.
Yeah, I don't.
It's like,
that would be.
I am you.
Yeah, I don't. You could do. There's a weird philosophical, like, the double kind of thing that you could do there. But I don't know. That's like the Star Wars art film kind of thing. I don't know if they want to drift down that path.
It just seems very strange and unneeded. Like it wrecked part of Boba Fett for me. The idea that he is no longer a Boba Fett, he is just a reincarnation.
It is, and I totally agree with you. Like, all joking aside, I totally agree, and it's part of the contrived storytelling of the prequels that drives me nuts in the end, of just this weird, like, oh, here's how it happened, and I don't know, and it didn't come off as, like, cool. Like, it just...
No, it seemed...
There was something cool about the scene, but, like, yeah, that him being the clone of his dad that he just took, like, oh, this will be my, like, pet kind of thing, is the way it, like, it didn't seem like having a child.
It's like
different.
I guess, like, if you did a sequel, you can always just bring the character back, or be like, oh, see, he didn't die. But they were kind of stuck in a thing where it's like, oh, we want him, but he's would be way too young. And they're like, let's just have basically him, and then say that the actual real version is just a clone of this one. It's like a cop-out. It's like, no. Or like if they were making a sequel to it and they said they cloned Boba Fett and that was Jango Fett, that wouldn't have bothered me as much.
Right.
Because it's the whole point of, it was like Boba Fett wasn't introduced as obviously it'd be stupid if they introduced him as a clone, but the fact that he's a clone, and and there is a way that you can look at it kind of cool, the fact of like basically he's just a clone trooper that turned into a bounty hunter after, but he was always a bounty hunter. There is some ways where if you really look, it can be cool, but the main like frontal way is just not cool. It just ruined it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange. I remember thinking of him as like, oh, so he's just sort of a stormtrooper that was raised by somebody different. Like,
yeah.
That's odd.
Yeah, it seemed just, yeah. Before I start ranting about just the same thing over and over, because I've been known to just repeat myself over and over and over. Is there any more marks you'd like to make about bounty hunters?
I guess it is worth making the point, I forgot to say this when we were talking about Boba Fett earlier, is that last week we talked about Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Who, like, I think is the most menacing character overall in Star Wars. Like, the Emperor's the Emperor, but he's just on a different level, and it's like, Darth Vader's present and there in the movies. He's
a big robot, basically.
Yeah, he's the force of evil. And everyone, like, they make a point many times of just showing how intimidating he is to, like, an average, not even an average guy, like high-ranking dudes or whatever. He will, like, throw down and force choke you, like, doesn't care at all, sort of make a joke about it. And everyone's, like, sort of scared of him or whatever. And
Boba Fett's just like...
Boba Fett's like, hey, like, don't hurt my prisoner. Like, I need that guy. And then he's like, what happens if he gets killed? Like Vader. He's not like, I hope Vader doesn't kill him. Like, he's like, what? Hey, I need him alive. Like, what? And Vader's like, we will compensate you. Vader's like, he's talking.
Don't be mad.
Yeah, he's like talking to him like, hey, man, we'll work this out. Like, don't worry. And I think, like, who else is he going to be, like, negotiating? Like, oh, well, maybe here's what we'll do. When you think about that scene and Darth Vader's character, it is crazy the way that Boba Fett talks to him.
Just like, what up?
Yes, yeah, like he's definitely like equal to him. Not superior necessarily, but just like, I don't have a reason to be scared of you kind of thing. And it's like, don't you? Oh, like, shouldn't you? But
Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Have you seen it's a theory kinda that because Darth Vader, the first thing he says to Boba Fett is, no disintegrations this time.
Yes.
And stormtroopers aren't known for having flamethrowers, that maybe Boba Fett is the one that killed Uncle Owen. Because they were burned. They were disintegrated.
Okay. I haven't heard that before, but that's...
Because he was also in the remastered edition.
Right, then he appears with Jabba, right, on Tatooine. I guess with the remastered thing, it makes sense, but I mean, in the original movie, you'd think they would have at least showed him somewhere just to make his character I don't know. To me, that's another thing where it's just too much of a stretch. It's like trying to fill a hole that's not even there, kind of thing.
You could have showed up, did it, and then just left.
Yeah, but like why? Like why?
Because he's Boba Fett and he doesn't need to answer to no one.
But and again too, like the reason for I would say that's too much of a stretch, because it's like there's a specific reason why they were killed, and so unless he's like right there, he's not in Rogue One at all. Yeah. Right, with that whole Rogue One now establishes a whole bunch of things and even changes New Hope significantly. Yes. So and makes it cooler, makes a New Hope so much. Oh my God. Yeah, I love A New Hope, and now
it adds
even
tension.
More. Well, and it just adds it, like, instead of the Death Star's weakness being some stupid plan, like how did this happen? It explains that whole thing, and that was like sort of a plot hole that I was like, yeah, but I love it. Like, why? Don't talk about that. But
the one thing
now
that
it perfectly explains it.
There's a guy on the internet that kind of is making fun of that whole thing of people being angry about that. Mm-hmm. He's like, this is a giant Death Star, giant thing that makes immense amount of energy, immense amount of exhaust, and this exhaust pipe's like this big, and this torpedo had to make a complete right turn inside of it, and he's like, how else could I have done that? And then it has the Empire firing that guy and be like, so that TIE fighter sized hole that we are now putting in the Death Star, why don't we make that Millennium Falcon size instead? Because they kind of go like,
it is convenient how things work out in Return of the Jedi, but that space battle is incredible. The space battle to finish that movie is, that's awesome. Yeah, it's a trap.
It's a trap. It's a trap. Oh, I had Admiral
Akbar. Yeah.
Well, I must not have had him out here. Well, thank you for watching this week's. This one was about bounty hunters. We will be back next week with a whole new topic about the same old movie. So.
All right, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for watching. We will stopping by. So that caught me off guard. Thank you for watching. See you guys next week.
May the Force be with you.
And also with you.
Always.